On this episode of the CPG and CBD University podcast, expand the brand, staying on top of the latest trends, and being a category leader doesn't happen by accident. How we use leading industry data when expanding our in-house and private label offerings, behind the numbers and trends on this episode of the CPG and CBD University podcast, and it starts right now. I'm Joe Augustinelli, host of the CPG and CBD University podcast. If you are a returning listener, welcome back to our podcast. And if you are a new listener, we are glad you found us on your podcast platform of choice. Don't forget you can get full video episodes of our podcast on the Global Widget YouTube channel. And I invite you to subscribe to our podcast, audio and or video versions, by hitting that subscribe button and receive notifications when new episodes are published. Talked about it on our last podcast episode as we made the evolution into our new name. It doesn't happen overnight. Just like new products, new brands, new offerings to consumers, wholesale, retail, and private label partners doesn't happen overnight. There's science and data behind it and ongoing research into the latest industry trends and answering the increasing demand for CBD health and wellness products. We're expanding the brands and products we offer and discuss here on the CPG and CBD University podcast. I welcome back to our podcast Chief Technology Officer and Vice President of our Amazon Business Unit, John King, and the Vice President of Sales Operations, Scott Wooster. Welcome back to both of you.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
First time under the new name, in our second episode is the CPG and CBD University podcast. If you haven't checked out the new sign yet, you can check on the YouTube channel.
Did we change the colors, Joe? It looks good.
It does.
We did. Well, we're red background still.
Still?
Yeah,
Okay.
still.
Looks different.
As maybe this will be the episode that pushes over 100,000 downloads. Maybe we'll change the color for
Nice.
the next episode.
All right, let's make it happen.
Where's your claim to fame? Scott, we'll start off with you. Back on episode 64, 15 episodes ago now, we discussed the organization we used on industry-leading data and research into brand success and product offerings across multiple channels. How do we continue to use data to expand our offerings to our retail and wholesale partners and our private label customers to set them up for success?
Yeah, Spins is our partner for data, and we use them all the time. A recent example, I think last time when we spoke, we talked about some of our brands and how we use the data for our brand development. But we just had a major grocery retailer as an example in our office a couple weeks ago, and they were here to audit our facility, basically audit our team, see if they wanted to do business with us. And as part of that discussion, they spent about a half a day with us, and they wanted us to evaluate their current lineup of gummies in the multivitamin and vitamin segment of their store for their private label brand. And so this was a contract manufacturing opportunity. So we reached out to Spins. I mean, we have a lot of data, but we had to go deep on some data for just U.S. grocery, so we could do a compare on what their current lineup looked like. Do they have the trending ingredients? The people are looking for. Are their price points in line? That kind of thing. And so we did that, and they also asked us for suggestions on possible line extensions. So again, without Spins or a data partner like Spins, that would have been very difficult to do without their help.
John, being able to offer premium CBD health and wellness products, not only in retail locations nationwide, as Scott mentioned, but on e-commerce sites, both our own e-commerce stores from our brands and additional e-commerce stores that we'll talk about here, obviously comes with a lot of research into the industry, the trends, functional ingredients, as Scott had mentioned, and an investment in innovation surrounding right formulations and marketplace factors. How have we been able to pull all that in?
Yeah, Joe, one of our strengths has always been speed to market, but now it's getting even better. We've been investing in formulation, in our automation and efficiency, and that's leading to innovative, high-quality products that we can get to our customers faster. You've already seen this with Defense Boost, and I think last week you talked about Foreverwell. I'm excited to introduce a new brand, Garden Grown Essentials, and it's going to be an Amazon-only brand. And what that's going to allow us to do is get products to consumers and find those trends more quickly, and then take what we learn from those consumer trends back to our private label customers and our own wholesale brands. So we're very excited about how that innovation is going to help us be more responsive to our current customers.
And you can learn more about Defense Boost on episode 72 of our podcast. And as we mentioned, last week's episode 78, we discussed some of our upcoming brands, which we'll tell you more about in future episodes. Way to tee all that up so we don't get to 100,000 downloads by accident either.
Right.
It all blends together. It's got so many emerging categories in the industry, hard to stay on top of it all. How hard is it to stay on top of the category trends in a constantly evolving industry?
Yeah, I don't want to say it's easy, but if you do have a data partner and you are paying attention to the data, spotting the trends isn't that difficult. I mean, we had a couple of functional ingredients super spike last year as an example. The real challenge is to figure out which ones to act on. So the way we look at it as a company is we think about, e-commerce or Amazon or our contract manufacturing partners or our wholesale brands. Like, I'll give an example of a recent one, ashwagandha. That spiked up a little bit. Well, the way it normally works is you're going to see things first, come on the scene on e-commerce or Amazon, and then if it has legs, it's going to go to the natural channel, and then if it has legs there, it's going to go to the traditional channel. So like that grocery partner that we met with, even though ashwagandha was spiking, probably not ready for traditional grocery yet. So we'll let John and his team with Amazon and e-commerce evaluate and see how far we can go with ashwagandha. Are you going to launch a product like that?
Absolutely, we are.
Okay, there you go. And then as we see it go into natural, if we have customers for contract manufacturing and natural, we'll alert them of that, or if we want to put brands in natural, we'll know to go there. Or we'll see if it's a better channel for traditional, or if it gets all the way down to traditional, you'll start to see that be a bigger percentage of revenue for functional ingredient, as an example.
And talk about trending and functional ingredients. It was episode 75, I believe it was, when I first heard the word ashwagandha as an ingredient,
right.
And now I think I've heard that more in the last 3 episodes, just over the course of the last few weeks. So that just shows how quick things change.
Yep.
And how we can adapt to the change in the industry. And John, in 2020, we had our year of more with our in-house CBD brands, and now in 2021, introducing new products across our in-house brands, but we're also increasing capacity, operations, and manufacturing capabilities to meet the increasing demands. You get to lead tours, here at Global Widget all the time.
Yep.
What have you seen on the innovation and technology side that allowed us to get to this point where we are today?
Yeah, so leading the tours is very rewarding,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we bring customers here, they can see the difference immediately. They have been to some of our competitors, and some are mostly just sales and marketing companies, and when they're here, they see the difference. We're not only just sales and marketing, we have a full service design team, and every logo, every package you've ever seen from Global Widget was created right here in-house. And then even more than that, you take them through the double doors that leads to our manufacturing area, and you open those doors, and it's so big and bright and clean. It's just beautiful, and customers go through and their faces light up. And I love taking them down. One of my favorite parts of the tour that leads to the answer to the question here is I love taking them by our old formulation area and testing area, and they see, it's still there, and there's still work going on. It's not very big. You take them around the corner and see the new QA lab and the new formulation lab, literally 8 times the size of the old lab, and that's an indication of how much we've grown. Not only that, we have returning prospects and customers. They've come for a second time. It's been a little while since they've been here, and they see all the additional equipment that we have out on the factory floor, and equipment that we might have shown them last year. And now you can see we've added on to get more automation, working on efficiency, lowering their prices, etc. In addition, it's no longer a 1-building tour. We're up to 4 buildings in our campus, and literally 3 times the size of just a few years ago, 175,000 square feet. So the tour has grown and grown and grown, and everyone who comes here and goes on that tour goes home excited about what we're capable of doing.
And we'll talk more about our capacity in gummy manufacturing and production on an upcoming episode of the podcast. And we featured members of our formulation team on a recent podcast, episode 75. And read more about our new formulation lab on the Global Widget website and our social media channels with the press release that we sent out and some behind the scenes video on on YouTube in case if you haven't made it down here yet to the facility. Well, Scott, John, lots of great information. Thanks for joining me on this episode.
Oh,
Thanks
you
for
bet.
having us, Joe.
Yeah,
Always a
that's
pleasure.
great.
And not only can you watch video episodes of our podcast on our YouTube channels, I mentioned, go all behind the scenes, look at everything we have going on here by visiting the Global Widget YouTube channel and the YouTube channels of our brands. Hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcast to stay on top of all the latest news and trends, new brands, new products. With our CPG and CBD University podcast, you'll get notifications each week when new episodes are published, and sometimes even maybe more than once a week on some special episodes coming up. I'm Joe Agostinelli, host of the CPG and CBD University podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. CBD products are not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. Always consult your personal physician about CBD and using CBD products. CBD should never be used by anyone under the age of 18. This podcast is not intended to provide legal advice regarding the legal status of CBD and CBD products.